If you're watching this presentation on the VLE or floated by on YouTube, a very warm welcome. My name is Rory Lees-Oakes and we're going to look in this presentation key terminology in person-centred therapy. The aim of the presentation is to form a supplemental study guide for students undertaking the Certificate in Counselling Skills Level 3 or an equivalent qualification. So we're going to have a look at Carl Rogers and one of his key ideas. And Rogers wrote, "Experience is for me the highest authority. The touchstone of validity is my own experience. No other person's ideas, and none of my own ideas, are as authoritative as my experience. Neither the Bible, nor the prophets, neither Freud nor research, neither the revelations of God nor man can take precedence over my own direct experience." And what Rogers was talking about was that he believed that his own experience, how he viewed the world, was unique to him and important to him and guided who he wanted to be. And the quote you see on the screen is from Carl Rogers' book on becoming a person. Let's have a look at an overview of Rogers' ideas. And he developed his ideas after changing direction as a clinical psychologist in the psychoanalytical tradition which diagnosed clients. Rogers believed that clients had their own unique view of the world, which he termed frame of reference. We're going to have a look at that a little later on. He believed that by helping clients accept themselves, they'd be able to flourish. He also believed that an individual's dissatisfaction with life was sometimes due to them acting in a way that pleased others' judgments or, as we'll look at further in the presentation, conditions of worth. So let's just have a look at the key terminology. Well, first of all, one of the frame of reference is one of the key ideas: introjected values, conditions of worth, external locus of evaluation, organismic self and internal locus of evaluation, organismic valuing, note to self, be careful on the spell check, and fully functioning person. So what I'm proposed to do is go through each of these terms and give you an idea of what they mean, link it to sort of real life scenarios. So first of all, let's have a look at frame of reference. Now if you look at this picture, you can see two footballers. One is a Manchester United footballer, the other is a Manchester City footballer. City footballer's in the blue, United's in the red. Now a Manchester City fan will want the player in blue to gain possession of the ball. A Manchester United fan will want the player in red to take possession. Both sets of fans will have their own view of the game. This for them is their internal frame of reference. It's their unique view of the world. So if you look at a football match, if we look at a derby match between Manchester United and Manchester City, it would be fair to say the City fans will want their team to win. That's their unique view of the world. And the United fans will want their team to win. That's their unique view of the world. And if a Liverpool fan's watching, their unique view of the world is they won't be bothered, they want Liverpool to win. So consequently, as individuals, we all have our unique view of the world. But sometimes we have what's called introjected values. So I'll ask you this question: do you ever catch yourself saying, my mum or dad or partner or boss would not approve of me doing this, even if you want to do it? And you know, there's a picture of an individual bungee jumping there. I'm sure that people who do that occasionally, they think, if my parents saw me do this, they'd go nuts. And if someone is held back from doing something they want because of other people's values, then they're acting on introjected values, other people's ideas influencing their life. Then we also have conditions of worth. So do you feel you have to act in a certain way to gain approval, usually off those who we love? Do you find that you get approval or love only in acting in a way that others want? And on the left there's a picture of Ronnie Corbett, who played a kind of repressed adult who was treated like a child by his mother. And, one of the famous quotes was, "Language, Timothy," wasn't allowed to use any language that wasn't approved by his mother. So that's conditions of worth, other people's views, gaining love by acting in a way that other people will approve of. External locus of evaluation. Well, do you rely on other people's views to make you feel better? Are other people's view of you more important than yourself? So do you find you saying, do I look good in this? Should I be doing this? Should I be doing that? And taking other people's views rather than listening to your own opinions and your own view of the world. And certainly clients often present with this. They struggle to know who they are because they're so busy pleasing other people. And finally, we look at organismic self. Now, the organismic self is what we want to do with our lives. So do you act in a way that fulfills your needs? Can you be true to yourself and accepting of yourself? And one of the ways of accessing the organismic self is sometimes by saying, I don't want to do that. I'm going to do this instead. So someone may say, I want to go to the pictures and watch a horror film. You may say, I don't want to watch a horror film. I want to go and watch a comedy film. That is acting to your own organismic self, your own internal beliefs. Internal locus of evaluation. Well, I've got a picture of a woman looking in a mirror. And, do you look in the mirror and go, yeah, that's okay. Yeah, not so bad. I feel all right about myself. I can trust how I feel and how I'm acting in my life. Well, if you're doing that, you're acting to an internal locus of evaluation. You're trusting your own judgment and your own self. And you might listen to other people's views, but ultimately it's your opinion that counts. Organismic valuing. This is about valuing yourself, and Rogers was very keen to promote self-care and self-valuing. He didn't do it very well himself, I have to say, but for his clients he believed that it was about looking after your own emotional well-being, valuing yourself, making sure your needs are met, and sometimes saying no. Sometimes say, I'm not going to do this. And then finally we come to fully functioning person. Now, Rogers would describe as someone who lives in the present or the here and now, isn't hampered by things that have gone on in the past, and isn't wishfully thinking about what might happen in the future. They're usually creative individuals who listen to their own internal voices, their own internal desires, not other people's conditions of worth. And I put a picture of Benjamin Zephaniah up, who's a very famous poet. And he seems to me to be a man who listens to his own internal locus of evaluation, listens to his own organismic self, and he's a fully functioning person. If you want further information, well, if you're watching on the VLE, click the resource tab here, it's above the red arrow. And if you're watching on YouTube, then if you type in this rather long email web address, it will take you to a website which has really good resources and explains in greater detail what I've been talking about today. And finally, thank you for watching.